Hi, I'm John Little, Senior Account Manager from Tobii Dynavox UK. Today I'm going to be running through some of the recent updates that have come from Tobii Dynavox in the last few months. So here's what we're going to be covering. You're very welcome to watch it all, but you can also use the chapters in the video to jump to the most relevant sections for your role. We're going to start by meeting the new Resource Centre. This is your one-stop shop for invaluable free resources from Tobii Dynavox. Then we're going to cover some smaller updates such as changes to mountings, peripherals and accessories, and then we'll get into the main section starting with what's new with TD Snap. We have a big section on what's new with voices across our AAC systems, and then there's a small update to Communicator 5. We'll also be exploring what's new with TD Talk, TD Phone and TD Browse before delving into the TD Pilot and looking at the new calibration tools we've added. We finish up with Sensory IFX2, which is now available on the TD Pilot. So let's start by meeting the new Resource Centre. This is where you can access incredible free resources from Tobii Dynavox all in one place. This includes communication boards and books, posters, assessment tools such as DAG3, condition-based communication guides, curriculum content, board maker resources and much more. You can find the link for the Resource Centre just there, but let's have a little look at some of the content that you will find there and how to access it. So this is the starting page for the Resource Centre, and if you scroll down, you will see that there are featured resources available for you to jump to quickly. However, you also have drop-down list boxes where you can choose resources by topic and also resources by product. So in this example, I'm choosing autism, and you can see that there are resources related specifically to autism. So as I mentioned, there's lots of content in there. So the kind of things you're going to find are communication books, boards, and communication posters, and as well as posters about other things such as the AAC Myth and Truth posters. We also have assessment tools and guides, communication guides such as the ones shown here, communicating with MND and communicating with autism. You've got full access to the Core First Learning curriculum content, as well as other board maker resources such as Activities to Go and the Board Maker Ideas book. Let's explore a couple of these in greater depth. So the first thing you might be interested in, and this has been out for a while, but you've got access to Core First communication books there in 2 sizes. These are available for you to download and print out. So let's have a little look. So this is a tab communication book. It's in a print saver version, so we don't have full colours on the white areas. And you'll see when you print it, you've got cutout guides so that you've got tabs on your communication book. Also available in the 7x9. In the Resource Centre, you'll find you have full access to Core First Learning. Core First Learning is an instructional system designed to boost language, communication and literacy for emerging communicators, especially those using AAC. It does this by teaching high-frequency core words through motivating reading, writing and language activities. It helps students efficiently build their skills and vocabulary, focusing on words used most often to promote growth and literacy. Core First Learning features lesson plans, beautifully illustrated books, and a whole range of games and activities aimed at helping users to learn, find and use essential and versatile core words such as want, go and more. Fun learning activities include reading, bingo, counting, sentence building, spelling, colouring, sorting, quizzes and word searches. A new resource that you can also find in the Resource Centre is the free printable motor plan communication books. Very much like the Core First communication books we saw earlier, but these motor plan books have only been available for a couple of months. You'll see that they are available in 3 sizes, Motorplan 30, 40 and 66, and you have them available in full colour or ink saver versions. They're the perfect companion for people using Motorplan on a device running TD Snap. So let's have a look at a couple of those. We can look at Motorplan 30, for example. You've got your communication boards with your tabs, and if we scroll on through, you'll see lots of vocabulary in there. If we look this time maybe at Motorplan 66, but this time looking at the ink saver version, you'll see it's the same thing but with 66 locations, but instead of being full colour cells, the colours are denoted by the button borders. So it's a 63-page communication book by the looks of it. Okay, now we're going to have a look at what's new with mounting, peripherals and accessories. Firstly, we're pleased to say that the coloured cases for the TD Navio range are back in stock. These were initially announced but weren't available because of the popularity of the TD Navio at launch. It meant that we weren't able to produce enough cases of the variety of colours. We're pleased to say that these are now fully available for order. They come in the original grey, which is shipped with the device, but you have the option of the pink, purple and blue as well. If you do need the product codes for these are found here. And you also have the option of buying the coloured case but with the grey keyguard holder if you've got somebody who's a keyguard user. So these are the product codes in that instance. So we just wanted to remind you that RayAdapt, the mounting company, is part of the Dynavox group. That means it's a sister company to Tobii Dynavox, and RayAdapt and Tobii Dynavox work very closely together in the UK. This means that you can purchase the whole range of RayAdapt mounting solutions from Tobii Dynavox directly. We also have access to any procurement documentation you might need, such as we have the pre-acquisition questionnaires from the NHS for all of the most common mounts. Just ask us for a quote. So, bringing you a little bit of RayAdapt news, we wanted to let you know that the RayAdapt magnitude switch mount range has been discontinued. So these are the mounts that have the MA attachments. These have been replaced with the L3D range, which are very similar in function, but these use the Spigot Link System SLS. So these are some of the new components and parts that you would need if you were using this current switch mounting solutions. We're also happy to tell you that we now have two options for mounting the PCEye with the Microsoft Surface tablet. This is the traditional PCEye bracket that you will have come across before. As the new models of Surface, I think from version 9 came out and they had the sort of curved sides to them, we needed to have a different bracket that was effectively better for mounted solutions, maybe on a table, a desk stand or a floor mount or even a wheelchair bracket. So now we have two solutions. We have the original PCEye bracket, which is perfect for tabletop mounting and has, as you can see, the integrated kickstand. But now we have a mounted option. This is the product number 1001346, which is perfect for mounting onto a floor stand or a wheelchair mount. This doesn't have an integrated kickstand, so if you do want to use it on a table, you'd either have to have something like a RayAdapt table stand, but you do have the option of a secondary kickstand for it, which will sit on the RayAdapt plate, and that's product number 1000447 at £109. And that's just a little view of how that kickstand would work. You can see it attaching to the Ray-Adapt plate on the back of the bracket. We wanted to share that the reversible TDI 110 mounting plate has now been discontinued. That's part number 12005017. It was intended that this was going to be reversible, but it didn't actually work well in practice. So instead, we've moved to have two separate mounting plates. Part number 13000597, which is the Daisy mount plate kit for the TDI 110. That's available for £65. Or if you're using Ray-Adapt mounting solutions, then we have the Ray-Adapt mount plate kit, which is part number 1001372, and that's available for £48. Another piece of news that I know a lot of people were asking for is that the PCEye is now compatible with ARM64 processors. This is big news. So ARM processors tend to offer less power consumption and heat and are often found in smaller devices. And Microsoft are increasingly using ARM in their Surface range. So it was that the lower price Surface tablets would come with ARM processors, and the Microsoft Surface for Business would come with the Intel processors. And until recently, you would have had to have chosen the Microsoft Surface for Business. We're really pleased that the PCEye is now compatible with both Intel and ARM processors. There's no hardware change required. It's just a change to firmware and download, firmware and software, which will happen with Update Notifier. And we're pleased to confirm that all current Tobii Dynavox software is compatible as well with the PCEye and the ARM processors. If you are purchasing our bundle of PCEye bracket and Surface, it's worth noting that we will continue to supply these with the Intel models of Microsoft Surface. Okay, now we're ready to explore what's new with TD Snap. Some things that have come with release 1.38 and some things that have come in recent months, either in early releases or things that have maybe been released on PageSet Central. So a very small piece of news is that we now made the calendars available for the Aphasia page set, available for download in PageSet Central. And TD Snap 1.38 did bring some new page sets in different languages. So TD Snap Motorplan and TD Snap Express have been released with the German Metacom symbols. And then in terms of TD Snap Express, that's been released in Canadian French and bilingual Spanish English. We do also release some of our Express page sets on PageSet Central for download, so these wouldn't necessarily be incorporated directly within TD Snap, but you get them from PageSet Central. So there are 21, I think, that are languages and locales that are directly integrated with TD Snap, and perhaps another 10 or 12 that you can get through PageSet Central. And we've recently added Express in Flemish and Express in Lithuanian to PageSet Central. Another new page set within TD Snap 1.38 is the Aphasia page set now being available in Spanish. A really exciting update for many of the clients, and something that we've been asked repeatedly for is the core first page set is now available in high contrast. So this is for our AAC users with visual impairments. It's available within US English, but this is very applicable for UK English users as well. Just to show you what that screen looks like in various grid sizes. So that's a 3x4, and that looks like a 6x6 page set, and that looks like an 8x10. And here are some of the sub pages and looking at the symbols. So nice high contrast symbols available across the whole page set. Another new update within Snap 1.38 is improvements to the symbol search. So what happens now is if you are creating a button and you are adding a word to a particular place, it will default as the first symbol that's offered in the search results to a symbol that you've recently used to represent that word. So if you've chosen a photo instead of a symbol for this red apple, for example, it's going to offer you that first. Similarly, if you have taken an image of maybe a dog, for example, but changed the colors, any edited symbols will be added first in the symbol search. So this is very handy where you're creating page sets where you may have maybe core vocabulary at the start on each page in a similar way to express, and you change the symbol for want or something like that. It's going to offer whatever symbol you've chosen there, or I want, as the first symbol that comes up. I've got a little video of that in operation which I'll show you. So in this instance I'm going to change the symbol for I to a symbol that's perhaps more representative for a particular user. So you can see that there are plenty of symbols for I. You can see in this instance it's a person who's a wheelchair user. Now it could be that somewhere else on the page, page set, I'm going to have another button with the word I, and straight away the persona that I used before is offered. We're going to have a look at how this might work with maybe a photo we've used, a web image. So I'm going to look for my favorite drink, which is a fruit shoot. Now we don't have a symbol for fruit shoot, so I'm going to use a web search. Choose my favorite symbol. I'm going to go elsewhere and I'm going to create another button to illustrate fruit shoot. So it might be in my personal list under favorite foods. Create a new button for fruit shoot. And this time when I click on the symbol options, you'll see that the photograph, the web image that I chose before, is the first one that's offered. So that's the symbol search improvements that have come within Snap 1.38. Another update to Snap 1.38, particularly within the Motorplan page set. If you're using the manage list function and having a particular vocabulary filter list that maybe matches a particular activity or task that you're doing, before it didn't show you what list you were currently using. The great thing now is in the top bar, you're able to see that the list that's currently active is displayed. So in this instance, I'm in a reading a book activity, and any sub-page I go into within the reading a book activity, you'll see it also says at the top of those pages that I'm still in that particular vocabulary filter list. If we go to a different activity, maybe preparing a meal, once again you can see at the top, but if I go into any sub-pages, you'll see that the name of the current active vocabulary filter list is displayed. Another function that's come in Snap 1.38 is the ability to turn on or turn off audio mixing. So this is helpful for people who are using perhaps auditory fishing or auditory switch scanning to find the word they're looking for, often someone with visual impairments. So turning off the option mix feedback with speech just stops the instances where your audio fishing voice, your audio feedback voice, is maybe speaking on top of your direct spoken output voice. That would perhaps avoid confusion or anxiety for the user or the person they're speaking to when they're hearing two voices speaking at the same time. So let's have a look at this in action.
Pick it up. Take a break. Hungry.
I'm hungry.
Here I have auditory touch set as my access method. Now I can move my finger across the screen and whatever's under my finger will be spoken out in the child's voice. However, when I lift my finger from the screen, whatever button my finger is on top of is taken as my intended message and it will speak out in my preferred voice output voice.
Don't feel well. Take a break. Lie down. Reposition.
Reposition me, please.
The voice mixing option is designed to overcome this problem where two voices will be heard at the same time.
Hold. Don't feel well. Take a break. Don't feel well.
I don't feel very
hold
well.
this 1 minute.
I need a minute.
Now if we go to the settings, then to user, then to access method, we'll see the settings for auditory touch, including the current audio feedback voice. Here we can turn off mixed feedback with speech, and we'll find that the voices no longer clash with each other.
Don't feel well.
I don't feel very well.
Another recent update is the ability to run iOS shortcuts directly from within TD Snap. iOS shortcuts on the iPad are really exciting and powerful. They're a way of combining lots of taps or actions that you might do repeatedly into one button, and that can take a lot of steps out of a particular task. For an AAC user, for example someone using TD Snap on a TD Pilot, or someone using switches or direct access on a TD Navio, being able to initiate a shortcut directly from within TD Snap is incredibly enabling and powerful, because it means that the user doesn't have to go out into the iOS operating system and perhaps get lost there, but also that they can complete an action that might require numerous steps with just one button selection. So you launch the shortcuts directly from TD Snap and it auto returns, if you set it up correctly, to TD Snap after completion. As I say, shortcuts are incredibly powerful, and some simple examples are being able to take a photo or maybe send your message window as an iMessage to a particular contact. You can also launch various apps like Shazamming a song and getting the results back into TD Snap. What shortcuts can do is just limited by your imagination and your skills with creating the shortcuts. So let's have a look at some of those shortcuts in action. So I'm just going to go through the process here of creating a shortcut on a TD Pilot. So we go to the Shortcuts tool, and we're going to click on the plus to add a new shortcut, and the shortcut I want is creating a note. And I'm going to say that I want to do that with the clipboard and pasting whatever's in the clipboard into notes. I'm now going to add a wait command, just a few seconds so we can see the results of our shortcut. And the next command is that I'm going to open a particular app, and this is the command that's going to take me back to TD Snap. I'm going to rename the shortcut, call it Create Note in this instance. Going to go back to TD Snap now. What I'm going to do is create a button that actually activates that shortcut and effectively copies the text from the message window into the clipboard for creation of that note. So I'm deleting the existing action, then scrolling through the actions to find copy message window text. And the next one I'm going to do is a launch application command and look for shortcuts. In the advanced functions, I do need to say which shortcut I'm actually looking for. So I'm going to say name equals, and then I need to match the name of the shortcut that I created, which is Create Note. We do actually have some ready-made instructions on how to create the shortcuts, but also those command line arguments you might need to use to launch the shortcuts. I'll give details of how to get those instructions at the end of this section.
I want
This is me now creating the text for my little note.
lunch.
I'm going to go back to the dashboard and click on Create Note, and this is all happening automatically. The first instance I do have to allow permissions, which allow TD Snap to talk to the Notes app. However, now I've done that once, those permissions are now established, so I won't be asked again.
I like
So I'll do a different note now about my favourite animal.
sheep.
Go back to dashboard and click Create Note, and you'll see it's automatically at this stage creating a note in the iOS notes, I like sheep, and then after the delay time that I'd set, it's going to return me back to TD Snap. Let's look at another example of how those shortcuts could be used. So it could be that I like music and I hear a song when I'm out and about and I want to know what it is, and I'm going to use the Shazam feature. So here's a shortcut I've created before. Watch this song.
When You Were Young by the Killers.
So the shortcut has initiated Shazam
When
to
You Were
identify
Young
the
by the
song
Killers.
and then copied the text into the clipboard for pasting into TD Snap. We recognise that using shortcuts could seem a little tricky, so we have created quick start guides for you to get you started with the process. The final feature that I wanted to mention in Snap 1.38 is the newly added function to launch SensoryEye FX2 on the TD Pilot directly from within TD Snap. However, I'm going to be talking about this in a later section around SensoryEye FX, so we'll save it for then. So what we're going to talk about now, though, is a new section, and that's what's new with voices. So this is voices that we use across our AAC systems, such as TD Talk and TD Snap. And let's explore some of the new functionality. So the first one to let you know about is that new voices have come to TD Talk. So that includes lots of new Acapela voices. That includes 6 UK English voices, including teenage voices. We also have Microsoft Neural voices within TD Talk, and this brings our total number of voices available to over 600. And you'll see from the list on the right that we've added even more recently to that list. A great feature of the Microsoft Neural voices is the increasing number of multilingual voices available. You'll see there that there are 2 UK English voices being added to TD Talk. The key one there is Jenny, and I have a little sample of that voice for you to hear. So meet Jenny, the new multilingual Microsoft Neural voice. So it's one of an ever-increasing range of multilingual voices available within the Microsoft Neural voice range. Just added to TD Talk, Jenny can speak over 50 languages or dialects, and it's perfect for AAC users who speak more than one language. In the past, users have complained that it's been jarring for them and the people they're speaking to when they are speaking in multiple languages, and unfortunately the synthesizers that they're using sound completely different when they do switch languages. With Jenny, you have the ability to speak in multiple different languages, but the underlying sound behind the voice of each of those languages is the same. So let's have a listen to Jenny in a few different languages. I'm not going to do all 50.
This is a sample of how Jenny sounds. This is a sample of how Jenny sounds. This is a sample of how Jenny sounds. Ceci est un exemple de la façon dont Jenny sonne. Ceci est un exemple de la façon dont Jenny sonne. Este es un ejemplo de cómo suena Jenny. Este es un ejemplo de cómo suena Jenny. Dit is een voorbeeld van hoe Jenny klinkt. Detta är ett exempel på hur Jenny låter. Detta är ett exempel på hvordan Jenny hörs ut. 这是 Jenny 听起来如何的示例。这是 Jenny 聽起來如何的示例。這是 Jenny 聽起來如何的示例。Este é um exemplo de como Jenny soa.
So that was just a small sample of the different voices that Jenny can speak in, different languages. Apologies for the slight hissing, that's down to my laptop, not Jenny herself. But hopefully you can see how empowering that could be for an AAC user who does speak in multiple different languages to at least sound the same when they switch between those languages. The other thing I want to show you are the new children's voices from Acapela that are in TD Snap and TD Talk.
This is Harry, the high-quality child voice from Acapela.
This is Rosie, the high-quality child voice from Acapela.
We of course have the voices you should be familiar with, the ones that a few years ago were the only ones you'd ever hear in schools. There have been a couple of good additions though over recent years.
This is Archie, the high-quality Scottish child voice from Acapela.
This is Ailey, the high-quality Scottish child voice from Acapela.
And I think it's always been important to have voices for people such as me with Northern English vowel sounds saying grass rather than grass, and bath rather than bath. So yeah, we've got a couple there.
This is Amy, the high-quality Northern English child voice from Acapela.
And Alfie, the Northern English boy's voice.
This is Alfie, the high-quality Northern English child voice from Acapela.
But the recent addition to the voices is the ability now to have voices that grow and progress with a child as they get older. So let's say, if you were Rosie before, quite a high-pitched, young-sounding voice, that's not the voice of a 15-year-old girl. So now we've introduced 4 new voices into TD Snap and TD Talk through Acapela, and these are voices that have younger child and teen variants. So let's listen to some of those.
This is Amelia, the high-quality child voice from Acapela. This is Amelia Teen, the high-quality teenage voice from Acapela. This is Arthur, the high-quality children voice from Acapela. This is Arthur Teen, the high-quality teenage voice from Acapela. This is Caleb, the high-quality children voice from Acapela. This is Caleb Teen, the high-quality teenage voice from Acapela. This is Chloe, the high-quality children voice from Acapela. This is Chloe Teen, the high-quality teenage voice from Acapela.
So hopefully you can hear the progression from a young child to a teenage voice within Amelia, Arthur, Caleb and Chloe there. I'm really pleased with those voices and that they've come to TD Talk and TD Snap. I also want to talk a little bit around My Own Voice 5, which I think came out in October, but I've been so impressed with the improvements to my own voice, I wanted to talk a little bit about it. So as you'll know, Acapela is part of the Dynavox group, so it's important to share the work that we do together. So My Own Voice is a form of voice preservation or voice banking that's available in 25 languages and can be created with the speaking of just 50 short phrases. It takes literally 10 minutes to create your voice. However, you do have the option of adding up to 300 custom phrases, which in your AAC software will be spoken with the intonation and melody that you spoke them when you were initially recorded them. So if you say something like "I love you," it's going to come across with that emotion. Or if you're calling your dog or something like that, it's going to come across with that kind of emotion because that you added those custom phrases. Acapela My Own Voice does also have the option of creation from Apple personal voice recordings. It's often a good starting point for people who are using iOS to create their voice for free on their iPad using the Apple personal voice tool that's available there in the accessibility. And that does have the option of exporting your voice recordings, and it's possible through My Own Voice to create your My Own Voice 5 using the Apple personal voice recordings without having to re-record anything. And this is handy maybe if somebody was using their Apple personal voice but their voice started to fail and they weren't maybe so happy with the quality of the Apple personal voice. Those recordings can be used to generate an Acapela My Own Voice. It is also possible to create a My Own Voice using existing legacy recordings. So maybe this is where somebody voice has deteriorated to the point that creating a high quality voice might not be possible. It's possible to use existing sound that's maybe on video recordings, voice notes, WhatsApp messages, etc., and generate a voice. This is more of a manual process, but it's definitely something that Acapela can do. And also, if people have used the mymessagebanking.com to record phrases, these recordings can be used to generate a My Own Voice as well. So I mentioned that it's available in 25 languages, so they're listed here. So it's 25 languages or locales. And what you'll see is that in those instances where it has an asterisk, such as English UK or English Scotland or English Northern England, there is also a children's script available for generating that voice. Now, there are obviously great benefits of having the Acapela My Own Voice. One of the key benefits is that it's an offline solution, and there are great benefits from that. We want somebody to have their voice regardless of where they are. If they're out and about, we don't want them to suddenly have to switch synthesizers. But also there are lots of data security reassurances that you know that your data is only when you generate a phrase, that phrase is only communicating with your device and your speakers. It's not something that's going off to a server in a different country, for example. So you've got no concerns about where your data is going when you're using the system. Obviously, personalization is a big element of it, and that's the ability to add up to 300 of your own phrases with that are recorded with the personal intonation, natural melody of your speech when you say those phrases. In terms of compatibility, you are, of course, able to run your Acapela My Own Voice on your Windows device, such as the iSeries, but also on your iPad or on your Android device. One of the key compatibility benefits of Acapela My Own Voice is that your voice can be set up to be the system voice either on your Android device or your iPad or iPhone. This is key, particularly on the iPad, as only Apple system voices can be used for telephony, such as making FaceTime calls. As Acapela My Own Voice is one of the voices that can be set up as an Apple system voice, this means that you are able to use the same voice for making telephone calls as you are for general face-to-face communication. And then, of course, having access to support is key. Acapela are a relatively small company, but through its network of partners, they're able to offer the support that people need, and they're not some distant, nebulous company that are hard to get hold of. I think key as well is Acapela also always happy to give free full licenses for professionals for testing and demonstration purposes. So Acapela My Own Voice version 5, what's new? So Acapela have gone to great lengths to make the process of creating the voice much faster. So that's a new script, just 50 phrases that are shorter phrases for all of the 25 languages, and they're simpler and shorter phrases. The end results are much better quality. So the sound quality coming out of the device is much better, and also stronger in terms of offline usage. Always, the voice is always available to you. Available 24/7. Data privacy is not a worry, and there are also options about your legacy of your voice. So there are options. There's a legacy process for deciding if you do pass away, for example, who might have access to your voice later on. So let's have a listen to the differences between version 4 and version 5. So we've got a few samples here. We've got the original recording from a user that was used to generate the voice, the version 4 and the version 5, and hopefully you can see the improvements in quality. So this is a sample of the user's original recording that was used to generate their My Own Voice.
They followed me to the bathroom.
And then this is the example, or a sample of what was created in version 4 of My Own Voice.
If not for stir fry, the tomato can be dipped into cornmeal and fried in oil, the classic southern use of unripe tomatoes.
And this is the much improved, I believe, version 5 output.
If not for stir fry, the tomato can be dipped into cornmeal and fried in oil, the classic southern use of unripe tomatoes.
And I think that's a much higher quality voice, perhaps even without a slight crackling on the version 4. This is a user 2 is a user whose voice had maybe considerably deteriorated before they went through the process of recording their voice for my own voice. So this is their speech as it was.
They followed me to the bathroom.
And this is the voice that was generated through my own voice version 4.
If not for the fry, the tomato can be dipped into cornmeal and fried in oil. The classics some use of white tomatoes.
Okay, and you can see that the deterioration in the speech is reflected much more in version 4. But let's listen to the improvements with version 5.
If not for stir fry, the tomato can be dipped into cornmeal and fried in oil, the classic southern use of unripe tomatoes.
You can really see the improvements there. Model 5 allows Acapela to offer a voice cleaning option. There's no extra charge to this. You just need to let Acapela know when ordering your voice that you require this extra service. And you can see it can really help where somebody's voice had already started to deteriorate. So I wanted to share my personal experience. Now, obviously, you've listened to my voice for a while. A key thing, I'm from the north of England, and I want a system that reflects my vowel sounds. So for someone from England, there are two options when creating your My Own Voice. You can either choose a general UK English or you can choose UK Northern English. Now let's listen to the UK English My Own Voice 4.
He took a fast bus to go home and have a bath after slipping on the grass. My Own Voice for UK English.
And now version 5.
He took a fast bus to go home and have a bath after slipping on the grass. My Own Voice 5 UK English.
Now, that's a great improvement in terms of the quality of the voice, but it doesn't actually sound like me in terms of how it would say grass and bus and things like that. So let's listen to the My Own Voice for Northern English.
He took a fast bus to go home and have a bath after slipping on the grass. My Own Voice for Northern English.
Now, I'm really happy there with the vowel sounds, but not so happy with the crackly nature of my voice. So let's have a listen to the My Own Voice 5 UK Northern English.
He took a fast bus to go home and have a bath after slipping on the grass. My Own Voice 5 Northern English.
Now, I definitely recognise myself in that voice and really happy with the quality of it. So I think the difference between 4 and 5 is fantastic. Okay, so that's voices. So we're going to look now at what's new within Communicator 5. And there's just a small addition here. And this is a new YouTube beta page set added to Communicator 5. And it's built around the principles of TD Browse. So it has to be on a device that would have TD Browse for like web access, and that would be mainly your TDI series or I series devices, the i13 and the i16, or the TDI 13, the TDI 16. So basically what you've got is your nice large buttons from Communicator, but when it comes to navigating the screen content and YouTube, you have the call-outs, the coloured call-outs that you can see there in orange, pink and blue that you would have within TD Browse. And again, you just have those simple choices of, in terms of actions, mainly it's scroll up and scroll down and doing your clicking. So you'll see here me choosing a video. And then when you do actually run a video, you'll see that you get nice video control buttons at the bottom of the screen. So being able to pause, go full screen mode and control the volume there. So let's have a little look at that in operation. So I'm going to start off YouTube Beta. It's going to launch. I'm going to search for something I like, funny videos about cats. And what you'll notice is the prediction there is very much related to the kind of web searches you might be doing. So instantly I'm in scroll mode. So I just look up and down towards the top of the screen and it's able to scroll. I'm going to choose one of these short videos, so I just look at the video and the blue call out comes out.
As many of you know,
You can
adult
see that
cats
the
cannot
video
meow
control
at each other.
options have come
Only
up at the
kittens
bottom.
do that. So when
And
your
if I
cat
wanted
meows
to
at you,
access the menu
really what they're
choices on the
saying
side,
is,
you see I've got the large coloured call outs. Okay, so let's have a look at how you add YouTube Beta to your homepage. So what you need to do is go to the quick menu, so that's like a long hold or a right click or Control M, and choose Edit Homepage. Next, you need to choose Add Page Sets, and you want to go to the Text Communication category when you're adding a page set. From there, you'll find YouTube Beta under the Add-on Products section. Select it and choose Add to Homepage, and this will appear on your homepage in Communicator 5. Right, so next then, we're going to have a look at what's new in TD Talk, TD Browse and TD Phone. In addition to the voices we talked about earlier, the biggest addition to these programs is the new option to have alternative keyboard layouts to meet your access requirements. You can choose between QWERTY, which is the standard, ABC or alphabetical layout, or a two-step or large key keyboard, which is for those with access difficulties. You change the layout either in the keyboard area of settings or on the keyboard using the language switcher button down in the bottom left-hand corner. So let's explore how these keyboards look across the three software titles. So here we've got TD Talk. You can see that we've got the QWERTY keyboard there. We also have the ABC layout, and then we've got the two-hit keyboard, where you make a selection first and then the letters within the subset of that selection are shown. This is the keyboards and how they display in TD Browse, the eye gaze and optimized web browser. So here we've got QWERTY, ABC, and the two-hit keyboard. Here in TD Phone, we've got QWERTY, ABC, and the two-hit large keys keyboard. I've got a little video here of these keyboards in action and also how to make the settings changes.
Hello.
That's me using the QWERTY keyboard. I'm going to change to an ABC keyboard.
Hello, hello.
Go to the bottom left again. And now we're going to look at the two-step keyboard. So make the group selection first, then choose the letter. It returns me back to the front page. And again, choose a group.
Hello.
And this is the other route that you can make the change as well, through the actual full settings within the keyboard group. I think it's actually quicker to go through the globe symbol on your keyboard. So just change it back to QWERTY now. Okay, let's have a look what's new with the TD Pilot. So we've worked to improve the calibration experience in the TD Pilot, making it more accessible perhaps for younger learners or those users working at a lower level on the device, maybe people who are still developing their eye gaze skills. So calibration now has all of the features you already know, plus the ability to choose the target color, change from using a colored dot to an actual image, change the speed at which the target moves, and choose the target size. So let's have a look at that in operation. So this is the standard calibration. And it's something that maybe isn't engaging for maybe some of our younger users or users who have perhaps attention difficulties. It's not something that's going to draw people to the screen. So instead, we can go into the settings here. And we can actually choose different modes. So we might want to choose to have an image as the target. And I know this person likes Cocomelon. And we can set a nice large target as well. Just something that's more visually accessible for the user. And hopefully you'll see that that calibration routine is likely to be something that's more engaging and more appealing for users who might not be engaged by a plain green dot. So hopefully that the options are going to give users and professionals more control to be able to achieve a successful calibration, better capturing the person's attention, ensuring that the speed is comfortable as the calibration target moves between calibration points, and also adjusting to the visual needs of individual users. This leads on very nicely to the fact that SensoryEye FX2 is now available on the TD Pilot. So SensoryEye FX2 is a much loved, structured eye gaze skills building software. We've used it for many years in the form of SensoryEye FX and SensoryEye FX2 for our Windows-based eye tracker users. So we're incredibly pleased it's now available on the TD Pilot for our iOS users. Now, I'm only going to show little bits of the software. There is a fuller video going through all of the activities and functions, so that link will take you to it, which we can send the slides. But let's have a look at this in operation. You can use something like Flare, which is a blank screen engagement activity. If you have access to a keyboard, you can press the letter H to call up a heat map. That will show you your main action areas. If you want to capture a screen image, that's P. I like to remember that as P for photo or P for picture. It might be that you want to record a session as a video, so that's R for record. We're really pleased to have SensoryEye FX on the TD Pilot as it opens up this device to a whole range of new users. It's fantastic that SensoryEye FX2 is available on the TD Pilot, so it's important that we give our users the ability to launch this software in the same way they can do with Windows if they're using TD Snap. So one of the things I mentioned earlier is we now have a launch application option that will launch SensoryEye FX2 on the TD Pilot. So use the launch program option and you'll see that SensoryEye FX is an option there for choosing. We'll look at that in operation. You'll see it nicely takes me off to SensoryEye FX, and the user is even able to initiate their own games and activities. Okay, so that's an overview of all the updates and new products from Tobii Dynavox over the last few months. Stay in touch with your local solutions consultant and they can make sure you're always up to date with what's new. Tobii Dynavox are always innovating and we love to share the exciting news with you. Thank you so much.